Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on the show, and it's here, ladies and gentlemen. College football, almost here. Saturday this weekend, Iowa State, Kansas State, first game of the season, which I'll be recapping. But here I'm going to do my 2025 college football season preview. So we're just going to get right into it. First, I'm going to go over the SEC. The 2025 projections preview for the Southeastern Conference to start off here. So, last year we saw the SEC on the gridiron. It was underachieving kind of dramatically to me. Well, sort of. SEC teams went SEC, 8-7 in the bowl/playoff season, falling short against the spread by only 1.6 points per game, which, as I say, the spreads were pretty accurate on average, but they underachieved by more than that against Big Ten teams, and for the second straight season, an SEC team failed to win the national title. So, but the league still comfortably had the best average SP plus rating in the nation, thanks primarily to the small number of genuinely bad teams, but certainly didn't finish the 2024 season in a great mood. Really struggled in the bowl and playoff season, with the Big Tens, with Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Clemson in the ACC, all looking at potential top 5 hype. There's a decent chance that the SEC's title-free run reaches 3 years, but try to hold back your sympathy tears. The league still has 3 of the most talented teams in the nation, and the largest selection of upper middle-class teams with dreams of 10-2 records and playoff at-large bids. In Arch Manning, Lenore Sailors, DJ Lagway, Marcel Reed, and maybe Austin Simmons. It has the most fascinating set of young quarterbacks in the sport, and it has the most pressure Alabama head coach in a generation. Most under pressure Alabama coach in a generation. It has Diego Pavia, and if last year's any indication, it might have a few more shocking playoff turning upsets too. The league never lacks for talent, grievance, or storylines. I don't see why that would change in 2025. 2024, there were a bunch of good teams like Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Ole Miss, Bama, LSU, Missouri, Carolina. Florida ended up turning out good, so there was a bunch of good teams in the SEC. The 2024 SEC race was a perfect battle of ceiling versus floor. Texas and Georgia had the high floors, losing only to SP plus top 10 teams and grinding out wins, often by a margin smaller than expected. But Alabama and Ole Miss, meanwhile, put some of the most impressive single-game performances of the season, like Crimson Tide beat Missouri 34-0, LSU 42-13 back-to-back weeks, while Ole Miss plummeted South Carolina and became the first team since 2019 LSU to beat Georgia by more than 17 points. So they had these two teams had impressive wins last year, but some bad losses, which hurt them at the end of the season, obviously, the end of the regular season. But they both missed the college football playoffs. So, but this year, we'll see if Alabama's much better than they were last year. Year 2 of Coach DeBoer, Ty Simpson at quarterback, so it's going to be a big year for Kalen DeBoer. To me, but I always gush about how wide open and unpredictable the Big 12 is, but I think the SEC could also be really open this year. But on paper, this race could go about 100 ways. But if Arch Manning is that good as people expect, like me, I think Texas is going to win the SEC. We'll just have to see, though. There's a bunch of good conference games this year, though. Texas, Georgia, LSU, Bama, Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Georgia, Texas, Florida, LSU, Ole Miss, Bama, Georgia, Georgia, Tennessee, Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson. Like, I'd say these are probably the 10 best games for the SEC involving SEC opponents. We'll see what Bama does this year with their offense. We'll just have to see. So now let's go with the Big Ten here. So, the Big Ten Conference feels like feels less like tradition, more like transformation this season. So obviously Ohio State returns with repeat on their minds and a quarterback who might just make it look easy. Iowa's no longer hopefully allergic to offense and are actually watchable. Nebraska has Dylan Raiola, second year, see if he improves from last year. But the Cornhuskers' path to a bowl isn't guaranteed even with Matt Rhule in his third year. Penn State, I feel like might be one of the most complete teams in the country, but don't be fooled. But don't be fooled by make-believe production on paper. Michigan's no longer rebuilding, but reloading with a true freshman phenom behind center Underwood and maybe true playoff upside. We'll see. As for USC, let's just say Lincoln Riley's running out of time to prove his system can work. But yeah, with Ohio State, look, they have really balanced roster and arguably maybe could have one of the best defenses in the country. Caleb Downs returns, one of college football's elite defenders. Linebacker Sonny Styles leads a front seven built to pressure quarterbacks and limit those explosive plays. They have former five-star recruit Julian Sayin at quarterback. He takes over following 2 years of preparation under head coach Ryan Day, and he inherits a really good receiving corps. Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, plus a deep backfield featuring C.J. Donaldson, James Peoples, and protecting Sayin as an offensive line that will be returning key starters and allowed just 1 sack per game last year. Could the lack of experience be an issue? Maybe for week 1. We'll see. But Iowa has the Gronowski coming there, Mark Gronowski, who is really good at South Dakota State. We'll see if he can give them a spark at quarterback, which they haven't had in a while. Nebraska, I'm not sure about them. They might get close to 6 wins maybe for a bowl game. I don't know. I think Penn State will contend just because they'll probably have another elite defense, and obviously the running back duo on that offensive line and that offensive and defensive lines were really good. USC, I don't think they'll be that really any good. Illinois, they're ranked 12th. Maybe they could have a good season. Indiana, I don't think they're going to be all that good. I mean, they'll probably win their first 2 games because they're cupcake games, but that's really it, to be honest. There's nobody else you can really point out in the Big Ten. Oregon's there as well. I mean, Oregon obviously has a no quarterback, Dante Moore, this year. So, but I would still say Ohio State would probably win the Big Ten. And with the SEC, I didn't mention that, but I'll say probably Texas. Big Ten, probably Ohio State. With the ACC, I feel like it's kind of Clemson's to lose. Like, SMU kind of has an easy schedule. But I think they'll be in the running. I just don't think they're going to win it. I think with Clemson, there's a lot of hype around them. They return experience, talent, and future NFL picks, including Cade Klubnik at quarterback, receivers Antonio Williams, Bryant Wesco Jr., and imposing defensive linemen Peter Woods, T.J. Parker. And 11 Clemson players made the preseason All-ACC team, and Klubnik was voted the ACC Player of the Year. So they have the talent. They should definitely make the playoffs because they have the talent at quarterback. They still have Antonio Williams and Bryant Wesco, the defensive lineman. I think they should make it easily. They've missed out 3 years in a row. I don't think they're going to miss them this year. I think SMU will be in the running in the ACC and possibly Miami. Clemson here is the favorites, but there's a group just behind them that will have every opportunity to compete. Miami now with Carson Beck. SMU made the playoffs a year ago and they returned Kevin Jennings. Though the scheduled degree of difficulty increases, we'll see Miller Moss at Louisville at quarterback. I mean, Georgia Tech showed some flashes last year. Duke and North Carolina can maybe be long shots. Yeah, that's what I would say. There's some pretty good freshmen in the ACC, I would say. You know, S.J. Olofatuli, offensive guard. Gideon Davidson, a running back for Clemson. He was number 3 back in the 2025 class. And Demetrius Samuel Jr., defensive back / receiver. And he's a two-way player. And he reclassified down from the 2026 class. So those are 3 freshmen to watch here. Obviously, Darian Mensah from Tulane transferred to Duke as well. And Deuce Robinson from Florida State transferred. See, there's a few of the conferences there. We know the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, the Big 12. The Big 12 this year, I don't know who's going to win that. With the Big 12, it's kind of just wide open, honestly. Like, Iowa State and Kansas State are ranked to start the season. Iowa State seems to always be in contention for it. Kansas State can be like a top 25-ish team. Texas Tech kind of has an easy schedule, and they paid like $25 million for their team. And they have a pretty fucking easy schedule, like Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Kent State, Oregon State, Utah, Houston, Kansas, Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Kansas State's probably their toughest test. BYU, UCF, West Virginia. I don't think BYU's going to be as good as they were last year. Probably Texas Tech might win the Big 12 just because their schedule is easy and they paid like $25 million for their team. So, they'll probably be pretty good. Obviously, Notre Dame's independent, but I'm pretty high on Notre Dame this year. I think I've stated that I'm pretty high on them. With the Pac-12, I don't know. SEC, I said Texas, but those are some of the conferences. Really conference previews. Some players are returning, key players are returning for teams like Jeremiah Smith, obviously, with Ohio State. Ryan Williams with Alabama. And the SEC adopts a 9-game conference slate starting in 2026, which I wanted to point out. Well, which I think is fantastic, and it'll make the entire sport better. So, really preview the conferences here and who I think will win them. I think I said Texas, Ohio State, Texas Tech, Clemson. I think Clemson will win the ACC. I want to kind of do something else as well. I want to get some overrated teams. I think Duke could be underrated. Maybe Louisville, Georgia Tech, Syracuse. Syracuse is in the top 25, but I thought they should have been. This schedule is brutal. They lost Kyle McCord, LaQuint Allen, and Jackson Meeks. And I'm still a believer because Syracuse picked up 2 viable options in the transfer portal, Stephen Jelly and Ricky Collins, which should help prevent the offense from complete freefall. I don't think this team will match the surprising 10-3 record, but I think they have to win. But the potential to win 6 or more to make a bowl is still there. Georgia Tech is still could be a team, maybe 7 wins, maybe. Louisville, I think, could be maybe another team. Duke. With the ACC, I think could be maybe the 3rd best team. Maybe some overrated teams. I think Miami, SMU could be some overrated teams. Maybe Alabama, LSU could be some overrated teams. Only reason I say SMU is they'll have to rely on portal additions to replace significant departures on the defensive line and linebacker spots. The schedule is more challenging with road trips to Clemson, plus challenging game against Miami, Louisville. So they got some challenging games. They have a lot to live up to. But yeah, that's really got to say, man. Tomorrow I'm going to do my top 100, the top 100 college football players that had the 2025 season, and then that'll be it. And then I'll do my preview and prediction for Iowa State, Kansas State, and the season will be underway Saturday. Do that top 25 game there. But yeah, that's all to say. Leave a like, subscribe for more. Next time out. Peace.